Bullying is probably a word you hear very often in a school system. It is of late a hot topic, and bullying in the workplace is a real thing as well. But workplace bullying isn't always what you think it is. And on today's episode of JFT Talks, we're here to talk about workplace bullying, what it is, what it isn't, and when it crosses the line. So it is important for you to know that workplace bullying is actually a lot more common than you think. And for educators and staff in the Jackson metropolitan area, understanding where professionalism ends and abuse begins is essential for protecting your health and your career. Our goal today is to clarify what constitutes bullying, what does not constitute bullying, and where exactly the legal boundaries lie. So let's jump right on in. First things first, I'd like to talk to you for a moment about the Teachers Union. We are the Jackson Federation of Teachers, Paraprofessionals, and School-Related Personnel. We are the AFT local for the Jackson metropolitan area here in Mississippi. AFT, formerly American Federation of Teachers, is a union that covers education professionals in several walks of life, from classroom teachers to paraprofessionals to teachers' assistants to bus drivers, and we even do work in the healthcare field. Here at the Jackson Federation of Teachers, we do a lot of things. Most people, when they hear the word union, they think of a strike because that is what is most commonly seen in the media. But that's not the only work the unions do. Unions do a lot of things. They work to collectively bargain with employers to create contracts that are fair for both sides. They also work inside workplaces. At JFT, we work with the public school districts in the Jackson area and with our charter schools to help employees understand their rights and responsibilities, to help professionally develop school employees so that they can do their job more effectively. We also work to solve problems where problems exist. For example, if there's a misunderstanding or some other situation in your workplace, we want to come in and help the employee to try to find an amicable solution that doesn't escalate and involve all of the higher ups. And if we see a common problem happening in a particular building or within the area, we want to call that out to the school board and to the public so that we can work for change. So there are a lot of things that teachers unions do. So why should you join? Think of it as having professional development, workplace training, a professional learning community, and a little job insurance, all in the same place. It's a place where you've got somebody who has your back and helps you to learn not only to do your job better, but how you can protect yourself in the workplace. And so we highly suggest that you join the teachers union. Understanding workplace boundaries. We'll define bullying, give some examples, talk about what bullying is and isn't, and give some examples of routine management. So how do we define workplace bullying? Workplace bullying isn't just a one-time rude comment. It's repeated, health-harming mistreatment, a pattern of abusive conduct that can take the form of verbal abuse or behaviors that a reasonable person would find threatening, intimidating, or humiliating. Crucially, this behavior interferes with your ability to actually do your job and complete your work. And it is important to note that workplace bullying is completely legal in Mississippi and a lot of other states, except for a few specific circumstances. That's not encouraging, I know, but it doesn't mean there isn't hope. If the school district policy has anything about workplace bullying, that's the place where we can hold the school districts to their standards to help ensure that workplace bullying does not occur. So, what are some examples of workplace bullying? Personally, I could tell you a lot of stories from over the years because I've seen it. But have you ever had a principal or supervisor shout or swear at you or subject you to public ridicule? If it's a one-time thing, that's not necessarily bullying. When it becomes a pattern, though, it starts to look a lot like bullying. Have you ever been deliberately excluded from some sort of workplace social event or some other professional event, a meeting? Have you ever had information withheld from you? Has your work ever been sabotaged? Have you been given impossible goals or deadlines that basically ensure that you're going to fail? those things can be workplace bullying. Again, the important thing to remember is that this is a pattern of repeated behaviors. So, what is not bullying? Well, first of all, not every uncomfortable work situation meets the definition of a workplace bullying. For example, isolated incidents. Being verbally insulted once, maybe even twice, may be unacceptable, but it is not generally classified as bullying by assessors because it lacks the required persistent pattern. Furthermore, professionals are allowed to have respectful differences of opinion or healthy debates. So keep in mind that not everything unpleasant at your workplace is considered bullying. Your boss can disagree with you as long as it's respectful and professional. Your boss, your supervisors, or your superintendent can have differences of opinion. Conflicts and incidents can occur. But as long as they're generally single or isolated incidents, and it's not something that's being repeated, then it's not bullying. And most importantly, legitimate management and disciplinary actions do not meet workplace bullying, generally speaking. There may be some instances where they do, and we're going to talk about the legal line in a moment, but generally speaking, it's not bullying. Let's look at some examples of routine management. Performance management is a frequent breeding ground for bullying claims, but it's often just routine supervision. Constructive criticism, like a principal telling you that he or she needs clearer data or more information, or you need to revise lesson plans in a specific way, that's feedback. It's not bullying. Enforcing job duties, adhering to district policies, and conducting lawful performance evaluations, or even terminations, are all considered legitimate management processes, provided they are handled reasonably and not targeting someone for a protected reason. Speaking of protected reasons, let's identify the line where bullying becomes something else. Before we do that, though, let's look at some key distinctions between what is acceptable and what is not. The line between management and bullying often comes down to intent and pattern. Is the supervisor's focus on your professional growth, or is it targeted humiliation? A reasonable person test is often applied. Would a neutral observer see the behavior as a legitimate way to improve work, or a repeated effort to sabotage a colleague's success? Bullying devalues the individual. Routine management addresses the work. And that's very important to remember. So, protecting your professional health, let's talk about where bullying crosses the legal line. We have to address the law. It may be frustrating, again, to hear, but workplace bullying is generally legal on its own in most U.S. jurisdictions. It only crosses the line into unlawful harassment when it targets a protected characteristic. These are going to be things like race, gender, religion, age, which is over 40, disability, etc. To be actionable in court, the behavior must be severe or pervasive enough to create a hostile work environment as defined by anti-discrimination laws. Please understand that hostile work environment is a legal definition. And the words severe and pervasive are part of that definition. So again, one or two isolated incidents is not necessarily pervasive. As a reminder, bullying is unfortunately legal in Mississippi as long as it isn't connected to protected classes, as well as in almost every other state. And what we think of as bullying may not always be bullying. We have to think about those distinctions. Is it isolated or is it a repeated pattern? Does it cross the legal line into harassment? And because we want you to know where we got our information from, we want to show you our sources today. In addition, Here are a few other credits. This slide presentation was created by Slidesmania, and any stock images you've seen are from Unsplash. I uploaded a couple of images myself, and any fonts used in this presentation are listed as well. If you've enjoyed this presentation or learned something from it and you want to see more, we invite you to check out our website, www.jftpsrp.com, and support us by following us on YouTube at @JFTPSRP 4644. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/JFTPSRP 4402 and on Blue Sky at jftpsrp.bluesky.social. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or you'd like to know more information about the Jackson Federation of Teachers, please contact us by email at mail@jftpsrp.com or by phone at 601-352-7613. Thank you so much for being here for this episode of JFT Talks, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.